Alright, so in this tutorial I'm going to show blending options and layer styles. First off, I have a layer here with this rainbow square, and below it I have this background, some colored flowers. To access blending options, you can right click the layer and go to blending options, but you can also click down here on FX on your layer panel and you can go to blending options. Here you can also access the other layer styles a bit faster, but you can also find them in here by going down here. So, blending options. First off, you can change the opacity. You can choose the color channels. You want to take some colors out, and you have all these advanced options. But generally, you use these blend modes up here, and depending on the opacity, they will affect the layer below. Dissolve is gonna kind of diffuse the image, or dissolve it, I guess. And you have these black lines which kind of categorize these options. So these 4 options are kind of the same, these 5 options and so on, like they're categorized, so they will almost do the same. So darken is going to take this rainbow layer and use that layer to make the layer below more dark. You can go full opacity. Here they're going to lighten the layer using our rainbow layer. And as you can see, screen and lighten is almost the same, but like with different intensities. It's almost like picking an Instagram filter. Just try your way through them all and try to pick the one that will fit your project the best. Color is going to take the colors of the rainbow and apply it to the layer below, so that's pretty cool. Multiply is a bit different. I actually have a layer just for that. So we go here, and now we're working on this piece. So I'll pick multiply, and as you can see, the white became transparent, and the color is going to kind of darken the background behind. So depending on what you're doing, that could be kind of useful. Anyway, moving on to bevel and emboss. This is about making your content in the layer look kind of 3D-ish, giving it that chisel. And you have all these options where the bevel should be. Inner bevel is standard, it's usually the best looking. You have these options to slide how you want it. You can angle the light from this bevel wherever you want. Of course, that controls the light and the shadow. You can choose the size. If you go full to the right here, you get pyramid kind of, but we don't want that now. And you can soften the edges, and then you get these sub options here. Contour, you can make your own by clicking here and dragging these around. That looks kind of weird, but that's gonna choose where the bevel will kind of chisel into the content, and you can arrange it here. For these options, blending options and layer styles, they apply to all the content in the layer. So if I cut something out here, delete that, it's just going to bevel here instead. And if I like draw as, whoa, that was weird. If I like draw a spot here, it's going to bevel it. So it's really all the content in the layer which will be affected by this. Moving on to stroke. What is stroke? Stroke will make a line around the content in your layer. You can choose the size, position of the line, which blend mode, but normal is pretty good for the stroke. And you could choose the opacity and color if you want to change the color. And again, it applies to the content. Whoa, that's weird. That's more like it, yeah. It applies to the content in here. So moving on to inner shadow. Wonder what that will do. It will make a shadow inside your content in this layer. Darken is the standard and it's pretty good. You can also use normal, it's almost the same. And you can change the angle of the shadow, change the opacity, distance. Choke is going to make it like more clear, and size is also kind of diffusing and spreading the light, I mean the shadow. So that's that. Then we move on to inner glow. Inner glow will make your layer, the content of your layer, glow inside. You can change your opacity, the noise, the color. Pretty basic stuff. You can almost do this with all the options. When screen is default, it's pretty good. Normal will almost do the same. So that's that. Moving on to satin. This one is kind of fucked up. It takes a shape and kind of applies it to the content. It's a bit weird, but maybe you'll find a use for it. This looks kind of cool. Let's go with that. Color overlay is pretty simple, but can also be a bit advanced. If you just use normal blend mode here and 100% opacity, it's just going to color everything one color. You can then take down the opacity and it will not like do that much, but a good blend mode here is actually color. Then your content will be colored only with red colors. But you can play around with different blend modes. Color here is pretty good. Moving on to gradient overlay. This will make another rainbow on our rainbow. No, but seriously, you can take any gradient you want. You can even make your own by clicking on the gradient. You can make a new one here. Oh. Customize the colors. To whatever you like. And you can move the colors. Give them more or less space. Of course, you can change the opacity or use different blend modes, but you can pretty much do that everywhere. Moving on to pattern overlay. This will make a pattern on all the content in your layer. So you can pick one of the presets. You can even make your own pattern if you're that advanced. And you can pick opacity or you can pick another blend mode. It looks pretty badass actually. So that's pattern. Moving on to auto glow. This will create, surprise, a glow outside of your content in the layer. Let's go with red, so it's more easy to see. Spread it out, make it a bit bigger. Play around with the settings, change the contour. The default one is probably the best one. So that's outer glow, pretty simple. Drops shadow. Instead of making a shadow inside your content, all the content will drop a shadow, which you can play around with the angle, but this angle is actually global, so notice how this shadow will also change, along with, yes, also the shadow here. But if you don't want the shadow to be so hard lined, you can increase the size and it will look a bit diffused. You can also spread it, but 0 is actually pretty good here. Of course, you can change the opacity and again, as always, the blend mode to whatever you like. So here you have it, not all the blending options, but blending options and the layer styles. That's what I had to say about that.